Hey guys, Dan Frizsell, Legend Studio. Playing around with some drum sounds today, doing some mixing. Thought I'd share what I'm playing with on the snare these days. So here's the whole kit. Let me see where I'm at in the song. Let's play some of this section here. Cool. All right, so let's solo up the snare and see what it sounds like. Here's the whole gack on it. All right, let me play it without anything I'm doing on there. All right, so let's do that. We're gonna mute our trigger channel here. Substantial difference. Let's break it down. So I've got a 50, or actually a M80, almost said a 57 out of habit, but I've got the Telefunken M80, which is a great dynamic. I think on this track, yeah, I was going through the Avalon, a distressor, and then the SPL, doing a little bit of transient boost on it. So here it is, raw. You know, it's good, but we can make it better. So this is a great Brainworks dynamic EQ. All right, so what we're going to do is the dynamic EQ. What it does is whenever the trigger is hit on your threshold, it will actually boost the way I have it set. So I've got it where it's going to boost everything above about 70 hertz or so. So watch what happens when we turn this thing on. We'll set it about right there. Now, the next thing in our chain is going to be a classic Eventide Omnipressor. These things are awesome if you can find a real one. I don't know of anybody that has an actual hardware version of this. If you do, good for you. It kind of does the same thing. It will gate as well as boost. When the crosses threshold, it'll boost. So I've got the gain set to about 6 dB, the attenuate at 6 dB-ish. So when it's below threshold, it's going to turn the signal down. It's kind of act like a gate, but then once it crosses the threshold, it's actually going to gain it. So it's going to actually give the snare a lot of pop. So check this out. So as you can hear, it's substantial improvement. So that's a little covert trick. Not many people use this. Eventide actually makes the plug-in. I've been using it for a decade, since back in the TDM days. So UAD 1170 or 1073, sorry, and just doing classic, adding a little of the top shelf there, a little of the 10K, 12K range, doing a little boost at 1K, and that's about it. Rolling off a little, but it's more of having that sound of going through. It just automatically loses a little of that boxiness just by going through there and doing the magic that the Neve does. Then we just stuck a Pro Q on the end. This kind of is my Swiss Army knife thrown in so that if a frequency comes up I want to duck or anything like that, I can just work off of this one EQ. Pretty much just rolling off a little lows with it. So you probably ain't even going to notice the difference in and out. So I just kind of have that in the chain in case I get into the mix a little deeper and realize I have a frequency that needs to be adjusted or something like that. So now what I did was duplicate my top snare mic to another track. So that's what's right beside it, is the same exact audio file again, except I'm going to treat it completely different. So you can hear, here's the file raw again. So we're going to go ahead and do a lot of the same stuff at first to get it to that point. So here is our dynamic EQ. Here's our Omnipressor coming on. As you can hear, I've shortened my release time. I've got a little tighter, so all I'm getting is like the punch of the snare. Now, when I hit the 1073 this time, I'm going to drive the crap out of the input. So it's going to basically give us some of that harmonic breakup. And then finally, I'm going to throw the old SSL compressor on there and just do a little mashy on this mic. So you can't help but mess with it. No matter what you have the settings at, every time you pull it up, you got to play with them. So let's hear what happens when we blend those two together. Okay, so we'll start with just the regular mic, and then we're going to have the duplicate track, and I'm going to pull it up and see what happens here. So that's pretty cool.